There is no word for
So y'all, you already know how we do it.
I got issues, you can't solve them. Everybody knows I'm bothering. I grew up in the system, so fuck yeah, I'm a problem. Yeah, I'm a problem. Hell yeah, I'm a problem. I grew up in the system, so fuck yeah, I'm a problem. Yeah, you grew up and running with my brothers on my mama. And back then I was a monster. Then I went middle school at number. That shit, hella far, it was all up in the village, that's like ballin'.
I'm about to get it. I know you about to get this work.
That was the problem. But my group was so high, that was the problem. Started problems. We wouldn't squabble. It was up and down. When no one looked out for us. I grew with lots of rules. Was out for us. No one could vouch for us. Yeah. No one could vouch for us. Yeah. Vouch for us. I got issues you can't solve them. And everybody knows I'm bothering him. Yeah, I grew up in the system. So fuck yeah, I'm a problem. Yeah,
Let's get it.
Hell
Yeah, make sure y'all go punch up that spirit wolf. I'm a problem. Y'all already know how I get out, man.
So fuck yeah, I'm a problem.
Ooh, that's just too much fire. That's too much fire. The spirit wolf is in the building. Ragawa ne takwarina gaudi kura. What's up, man? It's Chief Spirit Wolf. Let me put this out for a quick second. What's up, y'all? It's me, Spirit Wolf. What's up? No Grandma Killers in effect. June 3rd, June 4th. Y'all already know what it is. Saturday and what? Friday. Atlanta, Georgia. Y'all better come out and see us. Get your tickets, get your rooms. No Grandma Killers tour, about to shut it down. Like we always do about this time. So check this out. Everybody always coming up to me, hey Mo, what's up, man? What happened with you in the temple? And you used to be the Mo, man? Man, I learned so much from you and such and learning it continuously grows, man. It ain't no stopping with learning. You understand? So we always learning and it's always to study yourself. You ain't that the ancient way, right? So what we're doing here is we done clicked in with the ancestors, man, for real. We done clicked in with grandma. Grandma done led us to the way. Grandpa done led us to the way. And we straight, man. We can see clearly. We ain't got to go nowhere. We at home, literally. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to answer all these questions that ones have been asking me for some years now. And I've just been chilling and enjoying myself, enjoying my kids, just doing me, enjoying my tribe, enjoying my chiefs, and enjoying learning about self and about my family. So you got a lot of people out here, they don't care about that. They just want to bicker and fight and fuss over uh, not respecting the grandparents, man, and not respecting the ancestors. They think genealogy is a crap. You know what I'm saying? They think we're telling you to go find something on a dog's rolls, but if you do find that, that's good. You understand what I'm saying? Just find your ancestors, man, and connect up with them. But let's cut to the chase, man. Let's get to what we really came here for that business. So I know y'all want this work. Y'all know I'm about to give you these bars. So let's go on and get it, man. Let's get it. Turn this down some. Let me give you these bars. Let me get these bars. Go on and get these bars. Let's go. Let's start this off. Y'all ready? All right. The reason why I left the Moors, because it ain't no Moors. Ain't no such thing as no more. It's not a nationality. It's not even really a people. It's a European description of the Amazon people, who the Greeks called Berbers. All right. So we're gonna start off right here. So we see that we got Rome up here to the top left. We got the Greeks over here to the right. We got Mauritania over here to the far left. And we got the Kingdom of Numidia. All right. And then we got the Amazon Berbers all over here up in the middle. You see the little city right there. All right, let's keep going. Mauritania. The country derives its name from the ancient Berber kingdom of Mauritania, which existed from the 3rd century BCE into the 7th century CE in the modern day Morocco and West Algeria. So what we're doing right here is we're teaching y'all how to read and concepts and what to see. Okay, you need to understand the right concept when you're reading. A lot of people can read words, but they don't know how to interpret what they're reading. So right here, we're saying that it says the country derives its name from the ancient Berber kingdom of Mauritania. A Berber kingdom, not a Moorish kingdom, a Berber kingdom. All right, let's go. Numidia, 202 BC, 40 BC. Berber is Inumidan, and Berber is Inumidan, was the ancient kingdom of the Numidians, located in what is now Algeria, and a small part of Tunisia, and a small part of Libya and the Maghreb. The polity was originally divided between Massili in the east and Macesili in the west. During the Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BC, Massinissa, king of Massili, defeated Syphax of the Macesili to unify Numidia into one kingdom. The kingdom began as a sovereign state and later alternated between being a Roman province and a Roman client state. Okay, it was a Roman province and a Roman client state, but Numidia is a Berber. Okay, it comes from Numidian. It's Berbers. It comes from the Berbers. So let's check out who the necessities are. The Masli, or Masusilians, were a Berber federation of tribes in eastern Numidia. So they were Berbers, and they were a Berber confederation, like the Iroquois Confederation, Creek Confederation, Yamasee Confederation, etc., which was formed by amalgamation of smaller tribes during the 4th century BC. They were ruled by a king. On their loosely defined western frontier were the powerful Macesili. And there you have it. We can stop it from right there. They were Berbers. Okay? So when you see Mauritania and you see the kingdom of Numidia, understand that those were Berbers. And Berbers are Amazigh. Okay? But what we really want to start off with is this Ptolemaic Empire. See, the Ptolemaic Empire comes in with Alexander the Great. And with Alexander the Greek, he came in with Ptolemy, who was his general. And Alexander the Greek, he came in, they ransacked everything. And then after that, he took off and wanted to go to India. He went up to India, drunk himself to death. But Ptolemy stayed. And what Ptolemy did was he ended up wanting to be a god, wanting to be a priest, wanting to be worshipped. Because when he saw all those statues out there, he thought everybody was being worshipped. So he wanted to be worshipped, just like them. And so he closed down a bunch of temples because they failed to do so. And in Memphis, they decided to make him a god, give him a statue, and give him a name. All right? Ptolemy, Soter, Ptolemy, the savior. Okay? Remember that. Ptolemy, the savior. 367 BC to January 282 BC, was a companion and historian of Alexander the Great, of the kingdom of Macedon in northern Greece, who became ruler of Egypt, part of Alexander's former empire. Ptolemy was pharaoh of Ptolemaic Egypt from 305 to 304 BC to his death. He was the founder of the Ptolemaic dynasty, which ruled Egypt until the death of Cleopatra in 30 BC, turning the country into a Hellenistic kingdom and Alexandria into a center of Greek culture. Okay? After he became uh, a statue and an image made to him, and he got his own name. His name was, they gave him the name Serapis. Okay? Is a Greco-Egyptian deity. Greco-Egyptian deity, the first one ever. The cult of Serapis was introduced during the 3rd century BC on the orders of Pharaoh Ptolemy Soter of the Ptolemaic kingdom. You know, since Alexander left, now he's the ruler, now he's a pharaoh, now he has a name, okay? The Ptolemaic kingdom as a means to unify the Greeks and Egyptians in his realm. So he came up with a religion to unify the Greeks and Egyptians in his realm. A seraphim was any temple or religious precinct devoted to Serapis. The cultus of Serapis was spread as a matter of deliberate policy by the Ptolemaic kings, who also built the immense serapeum of Alexandria. Serapis continued to increase in popularity during the Roman Empire, often placing Osiris as the consort of Isis in temples outside Egypt. So outside of Egypt, we see that Serapis or Ptolemy, the new pharaoh, Soter, the savior, okay, made himself Osiris as the consort of Isis in the temples outside of Egypt. So outside of Egypt or outside of Africa, he made himself Osiris because his name is actually Oserapis. So he took Osar and Apis, which was the bull, and made his name Oserapis. There he is. So we get to see where these images come from. Bars. A letter included in the Augustan history, written about 131 AD by the Emperor Hadrian, ruled from 117 to 138 AD, to his brother-in-law Servanius, refers to the worship of Serapis by many people who consider themselves to be Christians or Jews, suggesting a great intermixing of cults and practices in Alexandria. An English translation of this letter appears in the book entitled History of Letter Writing by William Roberts, pages 356 and 357, as follows. The Egyptians whom you are pleased to commend to me, I know thoroughly from a close observation, to be a light, fickle, and inconstant people, changing with every turn of fortune. The Christians among them are worshiping worshippers of Serapis, and those calling themselves bishops of Christ scruple not to act as the votaries of that God. The truth is, there is no one, whether ruler of a synagogue, or Samaritan, or presbyter of the Christians, or mathematician, or astrologer, or magician, that does not do homage to Serapis. The patriarch himself, when he comes to Egypt, is by some compelled to worship Serapis, and by others Christ. It is a race of abounding. It is a race of men of all the most seditious, vain, and mischievous. So even right here, we're seeing that they saying that the Christians and the Jews are mixed in with worshiping Serapis in Alexandria. But what they're not understanding is that the worship of Alexandria was around before there were Christians or there were Jews. Okay? The attributes of Serapis were both Egyptian and Hellenistic. The aspects of the ancient Egyptian god Osiris were united with the Apis bull, a major aspect of the god Ptah, who the Greeks identified with their god Hephaestus. The syncretism of these two deities was given the name Serapis. This new deity was usually depicted as an anthropomorphic Greek god, not dissimilar to standard depictions of the supreme Greek god Zeus. Same thing. Serapis became very popular, and his cult quickly spread from its center in Alexandria to all of Egypt and finally to the entire eastern Mediterranean area. To the entire eastern Mediterranean area. That means Egypt, Jerusalem, all the way up to Turkey. All right? This new deity was usually depicted as an anthropomorphic Greek god, not dissimilar to standard depictions of the supreme Greek god Zeus. Zeus, Serapis, Jesus, same. Serapis became very popular, and his cult quickly spread from its center in Alexandria to all of Egypt and finally to the entire eastern Mediterranean area. The Romans conquered Egypt in 30 BC and continued officially governmental support of the Serapis cult. By the 2nd century AD, even many members of the Christian community in Alexandria appears to have become worshippers of both Serapis and Jesus and would prostrate themselves without distinction between the two. How could you? They were the same. See that? So what we having right here is this religion right here, this Greek religion, which was accepted by the Romans, became their own religion later on within the Nicene Council, where they want to take it on their own, and along with everybody else, they started taking these religions on their own because this stuff has been going on for a long time. This sun worship, it ain't nothing but sun worship. And those who are in charge, they want to be in control of the ancients or what ancient people was doing, and try to see who had what, who did what the best, and then try to make their own thing out of it. Period, point blank. But at the same time, they always using the same examples. Look at this. The worshippers of Serapis here are called Christians, and those who are devoted to the god Serapis, I find, call themselves bishops of Christ. In fact, it appears that some followers of Serapis were eventually expelled from Rome, when in 19 AD, Tiberius also expelled the Jews. This stuff is common knowledge. You understand? You can't make this stuff up. I didn't publish it. I didn't write it. I'm just showing the receipts, man, to what my people paid for. Look at this. This is all the people who died like Jesus, way before Jesus, who was born like Jesus, who had the same life as Jesus before Jesus was even born. Thulius, Krishna, Crit, Atis, Thumis, Jesus of Eros, Bali of Orissa, Idra of Tibet, Lao of Nepal. Buddha, Mitra, Alcestos, even Quasicodo, Watoba, Prometheus, Quirinus, all of them, all of them, way in the early BC time, way before the so-called time of Jesus. Okay, this stuff has been going on. There's already a cult that's been going on. Okay, it's just some ancient teachings of sun worshiping and how to plant, study of the stars. The reason why you got calendars, you wake up for work for a certain time, man. It's really not that serious. So, as you can see, this religion started spreading everywhere, and this tyrannical way of life started spreading everywhere, with them thinking that they was the gods now. Started spreading even more, start spreading even more, spreading even more to what we have today. Now, what you need to understand is, after these Greeks and Byzantines make up their own, and Constantine and them make up their own version of the Egyptian religion, then the Muslims got to do their version. Because everybody is trying to show proof to Abraham and the Abraham lineage as far as the three major religions are concerned: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But when you can show that Christianity and Judaism itself came out of Egypt, like the 42 laws of Ma'at was already on the walls of Egypt before 10 of them was given to Moses. So it's so many stories you can break down to show proof that there were really no Hebrews or no Jews ever in Egypt that ever crossed the Red Sea or ever went anywhere over there, because there are no artifacts. There is nothing left over there that proves that they were ever there, nor are the stories in the Bible matching up to any of the names or the rulers that was over there. Okay, so when the Muslims take on their version of trying to link themselves up through Abraham, through Ishmael, so here you got another Christian degree or another Egyptian degree coming up out of there. And then you have this guy, Muawiyah, who became a scribe for Muhammad, and during the first and second caliphates of Abu Bakr and Umar, fought with the Muslims against the Byzantines in Syria. When Uthman ibn Affan, a cousin of Muawiyah, became the third caliph, he appointed Muawiyah governor of Syria. Domestically, Muawiyah relied on loyalist Syrian tribes, and Syrian Christians dominated bureaucracy. So this is what Muawiyah, okay, who took over Arabian Islam and gave it to the Syrian Christians. You see, the Syrian Christians, they're the first ones to found the Memphisite Jacobite church that came up out of Serapis, order. Okay? These Syrian Christians. And now the Muslims is all given to them. Islam is given to the Syrian Christians who hated Muhammad. Muawiyah and his family hated him. And they only linked up with Islam and Muhammad after he took over Mecca, after he took over the businesses in the metropolitan area. And what did Muawiyah do? He appointed this guy right here. In 698, Musa was made the governor of Ifriqiya, Africa, and was responsible for completing the conquest of North Africa and of the Balearic Islands of Sardinia. He was the first governor of Ifriqiya not to be subordinate to the governor of Egypt. He was the first Muslim general to take Tangiers and occupy it. His troops also conquered the Sus, effectively taking control of all of modern Morocco. He also had to deal with constant attacks from the Byzantine navy, and he built a navy that will go on to conquer the islands of Ibiza, Majorca, and Minorca. All right. Why am I bringing him up? Because he was the first Muslim general to go in and conquer Africa in the name of Islam. All right. Some say his father belonged to the Lakme clan of semi-nomads who lived of the Euphrates and were allies of the Sassanians, while others claim he belonged to the Banu Bakr Confederation. One account stated that Musa's father was taken captive after the fall of the Mesopotamian city of Ain al-Tamir. According to this account, he was an Arab Christian who was one of a number being held hostage there. However, al-Balakturi related the same events, states he was an Arab of the Bali tribe from Jabal al-Jalil in Syria, still a Christian. As a slave, Musa's father entered the service of Abd al-Aziz ibn Marwan, governor of Egypt and son of the Caliph Marwan I. See, Muawiyah was the first Umayyad Caliph, and this is the fourth, the governor of Egypt, and he had Musa's father as a slave and gave him his freedom. He returned to Syria where Musa was born at a place called Kafarmara and Kafarmartha. The date of his birth has been given as 640. Just stay with me. Watch how I build up. Because Musa appoints General Tariq. Okay? This time, God did not send the enslaved Hebrews of princely Moses to deliver them, but a man who was himself a former slave. So this guy was a slave too. So the Syrian whose daddy was a slave, who came from the Euphrates, they came from slavery, from Asia Minor, and then he came and he had his own slave. Okay, the Berber, General Tariq ibn Ziyad. His intervention, sought by one of the parties to dispute between contenders for the Viscous throne, Tariq crossed the narrow strait in the year 711 with a force, some 7,000 strong, backed into small boats, and landed in Gibraltar. Arabic, Jebel Tariq, Mount Tariq. Over 2 years of fighting, he won almost the entire Spanish peninsula for Islam. Those many Jews who had pretended to accept Christianity to save themselves and their families from slavery now came out to welcome the Muslim forces and flocked to their standard. Arab sources tell us that the invaders called the Jews of every city together and set them to to garrison the towns they had conquered. Cordoba, Granada, Toledo, and Seville came under Jewish control. Later, Arab geographers cited Lucena, Granada, Tarragona, and as holy Jewish cities. So all of these cities conquered by the Muslims, given to the Jews. Hmm? That's a whole another story right there, because the Jews, so-called, are the ones who helped the Muslims become Muslims because they helped Muhammad out. And so here the Muslims is helping out the Jews conquer the Visigoths. Tariq bin Ziyad is believed to be belonging to the Ash Shadaf Berber tribe from North Africa. He was probably born in 50 AH. Historians Ibn Idhari, however, states that he was from the Ulhasa tribe. Ibn Khaldun has written that the Ulhasa tribe was found on both sides of the Tafna River in Telepkin, Algeria. What is my point for this article? He's a Berber. It don't say he was a Moor, it say he's a Berber. Alright? There ain't no Moors. It's just Berbers. Stay tuned. The army of Tariq, comprising 300 Arabs and 10,000 Berber converts to Islam. So if they converted to Islam, What were they before they converted? Because they're Berbers. And we know Berbers are in North Africa. They're not Arabs. The army of Tariq, comprising 300 Arabs and 10,000 Berber converts to Islam, landed at Gibraltar. King Roderick of Spain amassed a force of 100,000 fighters against the Muslims. Tariq called for reinforcements and received an additional contingent of 7,000 cavalrymen under the command of Tariq bin Malik Naki, after whom Tariq is named in Spain. So remember that Tariq, at this time, he called for reinforcements and received additional contingent of 7,000. So at this time, the Berbers was calling for reinforcement and received 7,000. All right, remember that. In this book here, Dungeon, Fire, and Sword, the Knights Templar and Crusaders. It says the Umayyad Caliphs moved their headquarters away from the Prophet's family at Medina and Mecca to the Syrian city of Damascus. See that? From there, they planned the Muslim conquest that built their empire. Talking about the Syrians. To the east, their horsemen moved all the way across Afghanistan into India. To the west, they conquered North African lands all the way to the Atlantic coast. When they reached the coast, curiosity prompted them to send scouting parties across the narrow strait into southern Spain. Reports came back that the ruling Visigoths, who centuries earlier had wrested the land from the Romans, did not appear to be prepared for war. In 710, ships were gathered to carry an army of 7,000 Muslims onto the continent of Europe under the Berber general Tariq, a former slave. See how they threw that in there? Tariq landed his army near a monumental rock rising nearly 1,400 feet above the water. So they named the rock the Mount of Tariq, Jabal Tariq, a name that would evolve over the course of history into Gibraltar. Okay, so with this article right here, we saying they talked a lot of big stuff, but what they're not mentioning is that when they sent the spies over there, the spies found out that the King Roderick of the Visigoths, it was a nobleman over there who was very pissed off because King Roderick had raped his daughter. And so that Visigoths, he loaned ships to General Tariq, okay? And then they took those ships, and then they took those ships over there, and then that's how they raided along with the Visigoths. Okay, keep it real. Oxford University Press. Tariq ibn Ziyad, Muslim general and initial conqueror of Spain, was likely a freed Berber slave who led a force of some 12,000 soldiers, mostly Berbers, across the Straits of Gibraltar in 711. So they don't never say Moors, they saying Berbers. All right, let's keep it going. Now watch this. Although the Berbers had undertaken much of the fighting in the Umayyad conquest of Hispania, they were given a lesser share of the spoils and frequently assigned to the harsher duties. Does that sound familiar, brothers and sisters? Berbers were thrown into the vanguard while Arab forces were kept in the back. Do that sound familiar? They were assigned garrison duty on the more troubled frontiers. Do that sound familiar? Although the Ifriqiyan Arab governor Musa ibn Nusayr the Syrian had cultivated his Berber lieutenants, famously Tariq ibn Ziyad, his successors, notably Yazid ibn Abi Muslim, had treated their Berber forces particularly poorly because they used to be their slaves. I ain't nothing dope about that. The zeal of the Umayyad tax collectors finally broke Berber patience. It is reported that following Ubayd Allah ibn al-Habhab's instructions to abstract more revenues from the Berbers, Omar ibn al-Muradi, his deputy governor in Tangiers, decided to declare the Berbers in his jurisdiction a conquered people, and consequently set about seizing Berber property and enslaving persons. As per the rules of conquest, the Caliph V was still owed to the Umayyad state Alternative accounts report he simply doubled their tribute. Just like when the brothers here was fighting in the Civil War, just like when they was fighting in all the damn wars, Revolutionary War, War 1812, War One, World War Two, always came home, got attacked, the land burned, property burned, all the stuff they wouldn't fall for. Everything burned. You extra taxed them, you taxed them, you doubled their taxes. Just like I say here, you simply doubled their tribute. That's what they did. That's what they do. It caused an uproar. And then the Berbers went off and did their own thing. Then what happened? The Moorish kingdom of Granada continued for 3 more centuries in southern Iberia. On the 2nd of January 1492, the leader of the last Muslim stronghold in Granada, we know him as Boabdil, surrendered to the armies of a recently united Christian Spain after the marriage of Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile, the Catholic monarchs. The Moorish inhabitants, see, now they Moorish, okay? Now they Moorish. The Moorish inhabitants receive no military aid or rescue from other Muslim nations. So remember before Tariq got 7,000 backups. When they getting attacked, nah, they not messing with them because y'all was our former slaves and y'all think y'all got big headed and we didn't like y'all in control over there. So we started trying to tax y'all and doing stuff and y'all wasn't trying to comprehend with none of that. Y'all fought against us. And so now y'all handle that on your own. So the Moorish inhabitants received no military aid or rescue from other Muslim nations. The Moorish inhabitants, no such thing as Moors. That's what they was called in Europe. The Moorish inhabitants. We don't get to that. The remaining Jews were also forced to leave Spain, convert to Roman Catholic Christianity, or be killed for refusing to do so. In 1480, to exert social and religious control, Isabella and Ferdinand agreed to allow the Inquisition in Spain. Take all their stuff. The Muslim population of Granada rebelled in 1499. The revolt lasted until early 1501, giving the Castilian authorities an excuse to void the terms of the Treaty of Granada. Remember the Treaty of Granada, 1492, when Boabdil gave up? Nah, forget all of that. In 1501, Castilian authorities delivered an ultimatum to the Muslims of Granada. They could either convert and, or be killed. You already know the rest. So the Umayyads turned on them in North Africa, and the Christians turned on them in Spain. It was all a plan. So then what happened after that? This guy right here, Pedro Alonso Nino, the early African presence in Spain, Pedro Alonso Nino. Below are portraits of Pedro Alonso Nino and the Moors of African descent. Landing on the shores of Christopher Columbus. Let's see about Pedro Nino. Pedro Nino was born in Moguer, Spain, of black African descent. He explored the west coast of Africa in his early years. Nino piloted the Santa Maria during Christopher Columbus's expedition of 1492 and accompanied him during his third voyage that saw the discovery of Trinidad and the mouths of the Orinoco River. After returning to Spain, Nino made preparations to explore the Indies independently, looking for gold and pearls. Empowered by the Council of Castile to seek out new countries, avoiding those already found by Columbus, he committed to give 20% of his profits for the Spanish crown. Okay, this guy piloted the Santa Maria, which was his own ship, and he told Columbus basically, "I'll support you." All right, brother. What did it say? Morego, Spain. So he's born in Spain, so he will be considered a Moor. okay? And he's of black African descent, so he's definitely a Berber. But over here in Spain, he's considered a Moor, okay? It's a difference. This is supposed to be a copy or one of the ships that they used. The Nino brothers. See, Pedro, he wasn't alone. He had Juan Nino, the oldest of the brothers, was master and owner of the caravel La Nina on Columbus's first voyage. So he owned his own ship too. So if he's the brother of Pedro, that means he's what, African. African Berber. Upon their return, he accompanied Columbus to Barcelona. After staying several days at home in Moguer, he was also on the crew of the second and third voyages of Columbus with his brother Pedro Alonso, who traveled. What? What about Francisco Nino, the youngest brother? Is believed to have been a sailor on Columbus's first voyage he went to, but was pilot of La Nina on the second voyage, and pilot of the caravan Santa Cruz on the expedition of Pedro Fernandez Coronel. At the time of his death, he was mayor of Puerto de Caballos, now Puerto Cortes, Honduras, bro. They ever tell you that in school? The Moors ever tell you that? That it was Moors or black African brothers who owned their own ships, who piloted their own ships that brought Columbus over to America. That story is never told. Why isn't that story told? Why is that being hidden? Why is it being hidden that it was some of our African brothers, not to disrespect anybody, but just speaking truthfully, offered their ships for the greatest Holocaust ever and participated in it? Not once, not twice, not three times, but them, their children, and their grandchildren. Let's keep going. We keep hearing this term Berber the whole time. And so I know it's a lot of you etymologists out there. It's a bunch of you cats at the house cussing me out, cussing at the screen right now because you think that I don't know this right here and that this wasn't going to come up. So shut up. Here we go. The ethnonym Berber dates to the 19th century, derived from Barbary, the term for the Maghreb coast used during the early modern period, itself from Greek Barbaria, land of barbarians. The contemporary designation, current mostly in Morocco, is a magazine or a singular amazing. This term is common in Morocco. So no matter about this Barbary coming from the Greek, Barbaria or barbarians, we know that they call themselves Amazighin or Amazigh, okay? Because I said earlier in the video that Berber come from Barbary. So anybody tripping off that, you've been set up, okay? Now, what you didn't know was this. Your word for the day, class. The word for the day is ethnonym. Say it with me. Ethnonym. Ethnonym. From the Greek ethnos, nation, and noma, name. Your nation's name, a national name, okay, is a name applied to a given ethnic group. That's what an ethnonym is, a name applied to a given ethno group. Ethnonyms can be divided into two categories. Exonyms, whose name of the ethnic group has been created by another group of people. Let's say this again. exonyms. Okay, one more time. Exonyms, class, whose name of the ethnic group has been created by another group of people. And autonyms or endonyms, whose name is created and used by the ethnic group itself. Okay, so with ethnonyms, there's exonyms, which another group of people, they give a name to another group of people, meaning that really wasn't their original name, the name that the other group of people was using, because they gave them another name. And then we have autonyms. Let's say autonyms. Autonyms. And then we got endonyms. Say it. Endonyms. Whose name is created and used by the ethnic group itself. So Amazigh and Amigazigh is used by the people themselves. And they also use Berber for themselves as well. Okay? That's what they use for themselves. They don't use Moor. And they don't use Moorish. Okay. Morocco's English name. Let's read. Morocco's English name is based on Marrakesh, its capital under the Almoravid dynasty and Almohad Caliphate. The origin of the name Marrakesh is disputed, but is most likely from the Berber words Amor, Kush, or land of God. The modern Berber name for Marrakesh, modern Berber name for Marrakesh is Maroc in the Berber Latin script. In Turkish, Morocco is known as Fas, a name derived from its ancient capital of Fez. However, this was not the case in other parts of the Islamic world. So, what did we learn today, class? That ethnonyms, right, have two categories, right? Exonyms, autonyms, and endonyms. So what is Morocco? What type of ethnonym is Morocco? Morocco's English name. Oh, okay. It's an exonym whose name of the ethnic group has been created by another group of people. Okay, we can see that. And what do the Berbers call Morocco? They call it Marrakesh. Oh, that's his original name. Okay, what is that called, class? That's called an endonyms or an autonyms, whose name is created and used by the ethno group itself. So, is there a such thing as Morocco? No. Why? Because it's an ethnonym, right? And what? An exonym. Let's go. The case in other parts of the Islamic world. Until the middle of the 20th century, the common name of Morocco in Egyptian and Middle Eastern Arabic literature was Marrakesh. Egypt and Morocco is Marrakesh. Okay? Boom. This name is still used in some languages such as Persian, Urdu, and Punjabi. The English name Morocco is an anglicization of the Spanish Moregos, from which derives the Tuscan Morocco, the origin of the Italian Morocco. That's all European. The English name Morocco is an anglicization of the Spanish, which comes from the Tuscan, which comes from the Italian. And you saying you born there? That ain't even a place. It's your nationality. This will happen when you call in those Serapis religions. Like a lot of us are, like I was growing up in. Family couldn't talk about their Indian side, their Indian heritage, the Aboriginal side of themselves. They had to keep that hush hush. That was in secret rooms in the church. Let's go. What does anglicize or anglicizing mean? Definition of anglicize from Webster's Dictionary. To make English in quality or characteristics. To adapt a foreign word, name, or phrase to English usage, such as to alter to a characteristic, English form, sound, or spelling. So to alter to a characteristic in English form, sound, or spelling? Wow. To convert a name to its English equivalent. Anglicize Juan as John, as Michael to Michael, as Sean from Juan to John. Mary, Miriam, Maria. Anglicize. Anglicize also means not only to make English, but to anglicize, to make it a part of the anglicized church. It makes it Christian. The Almoravid dynasty was an imperial Berber Muslim dynasty centered in Morocco. It established an empire in the 11th century that stretched over the western Maghreb and Al-Andalus. Founded by Abdallah ibn Yassin, the Almoravid capital was Marrakesh, a city ruling house founded in 1062. What? The dynasty originated among the Lamtuna and the Gudala, nomadic Berber tribes of the Sahara, traversing the territory between the Draa, the Niger, and the Senegal rivers. Fam. Now, there was a Marrakesh was founded in 1062. It wasn't founded in BC times by no Moabites. Okay, it was founded in 1062, and it wasn't Morocco was never founded. It was Marrakesh that was founded, and it was founded by the Almohade dynasty, and it was their capital. Chapter 47 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Sun, symbol of America, Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. Verse 6. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. It's a damn lie. It's all caught up in Serapis mystery. You can only find this type of history in the Bible. And you won't find this history in the Bible. You won't find this history nowhere but on this line right here. And then you got to make up some stuff to try to go with it to make it seem like it was even correct. Even this one right here. Their dominion and habitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across Great Atlantis, even until the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. So you wonder why those who are Moors think that they run everything is because of these type of statements right here that have no factual evidence and no factual background to it at all. Because I just proved that simply. Let's go. Bars. The kingdom of Moab. It's over here by under Israel, by this water right here. This is, biblical names when you got to look in the Bible and stuff like that. Can't find this in real history. You got to find this in Bibles only. That would be down here because that river on Israel is right here, but it would be over here. But we'd see big old Syria right here, so we see what you're talking about. And according to the biblical times, this would all be the land of Canaan, and this would be the Syrians. So are you trying to say that the Syrians are the ones who came in there and did it? Oh, okay, but that wouldn't be Moabites. They would be down over here. Anyway, let's look at this. So if the people in North Africa refer to themselves as Moorish or Moors or Moroccans, and everybody over there in Northwest Africa, how come they don't have the flag? How come they don't fly that flag that the French flew over there in 1956? Hmm? Let's take a look. Let's have a look right fast. Hold on. Where we at? Where they start changing that? Where is that? Okay, here we go. What year was that? Ah, yeah, 1956. How come they're not using that flag right there? What's up with that? See all those different flags right there? Those are flags from Arabia and stuff like that. That has nothing to do with the people that's originally from over there. That has nothing to do with this. These are the flags that they have for themselves right here. These are the Berber flags of today. Okay? Look at this. The Berber flag is a flag that has been proposed for the Berber people. Proposed by them. In the 1970s, the Berber Academy Al magazine, proposed the first Berber flag. In 1998, the World Amazigh Congress made the flag official. All right. The flag is composed of blue, green, and yellow horizontal bands of the same height and a tifnat letter, Yas or Azah. The Yas symbolizes the free man, which is the meaning of the Berber word Amazigh, the Berbers' own name for themselves. It means free people. And here they have the one flag that represents all of them up top. Then they have their own different ones for Algeria, Berber flag, Egyptian Berber flag, Libyan Berber flag, Mali Berber flag, Mauritania Berber flag, Moroccan Berber flag, Tunisian Berber flag, Niger Berber flag, Western Sahara Berber flag, Canary Islands Berber flag. It's like, okay, where's the one with the 5-pointed green star? It would be this one, right? But they don't use that. The original people don't use that. So what we got to stop doing is you got to stop trying to steal people's culture and understand your own culture. Understand your own people and your own bloodline. You can't be listening to anybody that just jump out in the streets and just say that they're a prophet and they're this and they're that when you've been under the whims of the Bible and you know that the Bible was forced on you during slavery. But then you're going to take all of the prophets in the Bible for yourself and all of the stories for yourself at the same time. Listen, anything that the European pale man tell you to do, you're supposed to go the opposite way. If he tell you jump, you lay down. If he tell you go right, you go left. You understand? Anything he tell you, you do the opposite, man. Always. And so, see this sister here? Every time they walk around with this with pride. The Berbers walk around with this with real pride. Once again, I like to give shout out to my great grandmothers and my great grandma teaching me what's up and making sure that certain things resonated in my head and letting me know that so when I get older, I can be able to look back, think, see their face, hear their voices, and remember what I was told and ask my family what was going on. So, man, you can see that when it comes to this Moorish thing, it's very deep studies and stuff like that. It's not just standing up in front of people and just preaching and just making them believe in everything that you're saying because you savvy with words and stuff like that, and you following everything that the prophet said, so to speak. So it's a lot more to this, and this is just round one, man. So round one, we can clearly see that We didn't have no type of Moors or no type of information like that, or this type of teaching right here has never even came to you like that. So you can't never say that it even comes to you like that. Taj Tariq don't teach you like this. Hakeem Bey never taught you like this. Sabir Bey never taught you like this. These are all cool guys with great information. But when it comes to grandma's teaching, all of that stuff ain't even damn preschool yet, as you can see. You haven't even touched the surface yet of even the concept of actually what's going on. Because what's going on is this. It's a land grab. And it's been a land grab ever since them Greeks came over into Africa and been snatching up stuff. Then they went over to Arabia and snatched up stuff. And when they go over, they not only snatch up stuff, but they snatch up women, kill the men, rape the women, and start making people slaves and then making this whole blended society. You understand? So within that, you have, I'm gonna say, man, you just got a lot of trickery going on for these land grabs. It's really all about land grabbing. And they're always trying to make us be the slave, no matter where we are in the world. The Aboriginal person is always supposed to end up being the slave. And if you look around, you can see that